Hey everybody, today we are going to get a new set of wheels. These wheels. You are going to need, obviously, a set of those wheels. A 17mm socket, a socket wrench, a 5mm Allen key, a set of casters from Apollo Caster, some thread locker, a quick step drill bit that goes to 5/8 inch, a drill, a set of spacers, some wrenches, some form of lubricant. Unfortunately, one of the other things you will probably need is a vice grip to hold things still, because this is going to require some drilling, as I hope you had picked up on the tools. You don't have to do this part with a vice grip, but I'm going to. These are 10mm on both sides here. So I put my 10mm on this side here. You want to take the wheels out of your caster. It's a little tighter at the end. There we go. All right, and that just comes right out. Now these wheels have bearings inside them underneath this plastic, so if you skateboard or might have a use for some bearings, keep these around. That's what I did. Hold on to your axle and the bolt, because we're going to use that, or the nut and the bolt. The first time I did this, I ground down the kingpin on the inside here to 1/2 inch, and it fit in here, and I welded it. This time what we're going to do is we're going to use this step drill bit, and we're going to drill out the bottom part of this to 5/8, and ultimately it's going to get rid of this rivet. It's going to pop out, and we're going to have 2 pieces, well, 3 pieces. I have an old tire from my car here. I just found out the other day, this is like the perfect device to hold a crazy cart up off the ground. So let's do that. Boom. Beautiful. We are going to be taking this caster off. In order to do that, we'll need our 5mm Allen wrench. Fits right in here. And so let's take this wheel off. Now obviously this is not the same wheel that you're going to have. This is a rollerblade wheel. But the innards here, the shaft is exactly stock. Comes right out, just like this. Boom, don't lose your spacers. I like to put everything back together. Also, just a quick tip. There's spacers inside of all of these wheels, and a lot of people have trouble lining things up, especially when they're changing the front tire on a crazy cart. The best tip I can give you is to have the wheel like this, not vertical but horizontal, so you can look in there and see the washer, and just line this thing up. If it's not lined up, get a tool, line it up. Or if it's loose enough, you can just shake it while you're putting this in and it'll line up. Same thing for the main tire. Just use the shaft that it's going through, the axle, and you don't have to play those games at all. It's super easy. Okay, so now that we have that off, we need to take this off, and that is where a 17mm socket comes in. All right, there we go. Now, thankfully, this is turning the main as well, which is just fine with me. So now we got it out that little bit. Just keep turning this, and the whole thing will come off. There we go. So let's work on taking this off. So right there. Now you want to be really careful not to let this fall apart when you take it apart, because the bearings inside can fly everywhere, so we don't want to do that. You can let go of that now. Boom. All right. Now I have taken this out several times already, but for most of you, you have not. There's glue. There's some sort of an adhesive inside of here. And what I've needed to do, and I probably still will need to do, is get a flathead screwdriver or something and a hammer and hammer this out, which I didn't mention in the very beginning with the parts, but I have a feeling that's what we're going to have to do here. But let's try. Let's see here. If I absolutely need to do that. Yes, I do. I need to do that, so let's do that. So here we are back at that vise that you may or may not have. We're going to set that right in there. Now, I'm not tightening it around the kingpin. I want that kingpin to be able to fall right out. So I got my screwdriver and a hammer. And we're just going to tap it out. There it goes slowly. It's coming out, right? There she goes. That fell right out. I can keep my washer, or sorry, my all my bearings and everything together. And we got the part that we wanted. We've got our drill here, and we've got our step bit. Just gonna put it in the drill. Now remember, the measurement we're looking for is 5/8, but the way we're doing this now shouldn't really matter too much, because the goal here is to actually drill this out to where the point that this rivet just breaks. So, and I really feel bad if you don't have a vice grip, or not a vice grip, but you know, a clamp here, a vice. Everybody has vices. So we're going to tighten that to where that part can't move, because that's going to want to try to spin. This is the most crucial part, and which is why I feel the worst, because you don't want to hold this by hand. You could maybe get some giant locking pliers that hold it in place or something, but other than that, it's going to be a real pain in the butt. So, because we're drilling into metal with this bit, I want this bit to last longer and cut easier. So we're gonna dip that into our oil. Now this is used oil from my car. And what I do is just dip the end right in there. You can see that, it's lubricated. So also, I've got a rubber mat down on the floor. These metal shavings are gonna get super tiny. It's important that you clean them up, especially if you walk around your garage barefoot like me, because you will get really nasty splinters. So now that we have our bit lubricated, we're just gonna give it a whirl and try to cut this bad boy. And nice and gently, let the drill do the work. And you can see it is slowly working. And I'm gonna wet my bit here. Just get a little bit more oil. I'm not worried about it. I'm wearing clothes I don't care about. And keep going. Imagine trying to do this by hand, okay? That will not turn out good at all. Let me wipe some of this away. Now, if you have rags that you reuse all the time, like I do, I'm not gonna be wiping these tiny metal shavings away with the thick side of this microfiber. I'm gonna be doing it with the shallow side so that they can come off rather easily when I go outside and shake it off. Of course, never ever use this to like clean something that you care about after you do something like this. So you may or may not be able to see a tiny little ridge is starting to form. I'm going a little bit slower this time than I did the first time, just for demonstration. You know, no harm in being careful. Let's attack it one more time. Gonna re-dip my drill bit so it's nice and lubricated. And let's go. There, it's starting to spin actually. So we got a little bit of separation here going on, unfortunately. Or the bottom part is not spinning and the top part is spinning, which kind of the downside of that is or that happened, I think, because some of the oil is getting in there and just lubricating it, making it easier to spin. We need to get some locking pliers and lock this down so that it does not spin. I can't believe I forgot that part. So what we're gonna do here, we're gonna very carefully lock the top and bottom together if we can. I mean, I know we can, I did it already. It's gonna be in the way visually a little bit, but clamp that thing down nice and good so it doesn't wanna move. This part, okay, let's keep going. I'll re-lubricate the drill bit. I'm so sorry for those of you that don't have a way to do this, because this is the trick right here. This is how you do it. There she goes. That's how you do it right there. That little extra bit. So you will have this left over. And this right there. That's what was holding it in the middle. And no longer. We can unclamp this, which just seemed like it was basically unclamped already. And once again, you can see as I pull this off there. One very important thing to note is this little washer in the middle. Do not get rid of that. You need this for this to spin more freely when we hook it up. Very important. The hard part is over, everybody. So we're gonna put that back together and we're gonna put it on, and I'll show you how to do that. Before we can put the caster on, we need to prepare the wheels to go on the caster. So you're gonna take your shaft from the caster and you're gonna take your spacers and you're gonna have to cut these down. So as you can see, this is a prepared axle here. And you can see I have trimmed down these spacers. So let's take that apart and see just how much you have to trim those down. Your standard spacer here it's about 4/10 of an inch. And you need to take one of the full-size ones and shrink that down to 1/4 of an inch. It doesn't have to be super exact, because what's going to happen is that this can flex just a bit. And you're going to be tightening this down. There's going to be a little bit of free play in here. I'll show you. Let me demonstrate. I'll put this through here. And there's a little bit of a trick to getting this on. So now if you look in here, that washer's not lined up. Remember my trick I told you? I've got both of those on that side and the wheel is in there. I'm gonna line that up. If you don't want to use the axle to line that up, you can grab your little tool here, your Allen wrench, move it over. Don't make me look like a fool now. Almost. Come on, baby. There. Now it's lined up. And push that through. Use our full-sized one. And then we got the little 1/4 inch one that we cut. And push that through. And now go like that. Hopefully you caught that. How easy that was. Now, my point for doing all this is to show you that there might be a little bit of free play in here. I'm gonna hold this. Actually, this one is perfect. I nailed this one. If there is free play though, when you tighten this down, it will squeeze this and it'll still work. So that's what we're doing. So in order to get that the correct size, you can use an angle grinder, which I did. I just grabbed this here. I'll show you real quick. So I would take a full size spacer and lock it into a pair of grips here. Adjust it to where I can get a good closing amount on it without warping it. Like that. And then with this running very carefully and wearing eyewear protection, you grind that down to 4 millimeters. It's that simple. Maybe not easy, but it's simple, okay? And that's how you get that the correct size. So now that we figured that out, let's go put this on the cart. That again. Now that we've got our kingpin free and we've got our caster ready to go, what we're going to do is very carefully put this kingpin through the caster from the bottom in the hole that we just created, which you can't see. And here we go. It looks like this, right? And you're going to then, if this is permanent for you and you're not planning on taking this off for your safety, you're going to put your thread locker on here, on these threads, and it's going to go up into here. So, since I'm not doing that, and I will be taking this off, this is for demonstration purposes only. I'm screwing this on up into here. You want to keep the top and the bottom tight while you're doing that, otherwise some of the bearing balls will fall out. Now that's nice and tight. At this point, you're going to want to grab your wrench. You're going to want to tighten it down. Extra tight. Or if you have a long, nice socket, that would work well too. So once that's nice and tight, then you can put your wheels on just like I showed you, and you're good to go. This kingpin does not hit the wheels, and it works. Now what makes this rebuildable, as I claim, is that you can just undo this and easily access your ball bearings. You can re-grease them, you can replace the balls, you can buy replacements on Amazon. I don't have a link at the moment, and I don't necessarily plan on getting one. But, you know, for the cost, it's practically unbeatable. You'll notice maybe that I didn't put the crush washer on. And that's because the threaded bolt here is even shorter than it was because it's going through this metal. I believe there's plenty there. And the crush washer actually would change the rigidity in the surface area that's being contacted here. So I actually think it's plenty good here without the crush washer and with the thread lock. Obviously have it nice and tight, and if it happens to be not nice and loose like this, there's a good chance that you forgot to put that tiny washer in between like I mentioned. All right, I'm going to try to install this wheel in the same order that you would have to, so we can struggle together and you can not feel so bad about how hard it is for you. We're going to put the axle over here, the big washer here, small washer right after that. Okay, now thankfully these wheels are squishy, so we will have enough room to come over this way, squish it right in, put it in the first bearing. Now the washer in the middle is not lined up, so you want to look through this hole here and see which way it needs to go. Man, I hate that thing I do, I hate that. I'm gonna rotate it to where that's on the top. I've got pressure against it, and then as I remove the axle backwards, it's gonna fall down into place. Now it went a little too far that time, so I'm gonna wiggle this
Come on. Come on, Mr. Washer. Fall down. Almost. Let's grab my Allen key. Give it a hand, maybe. So yeah, this is a bit tricky. You can also put the cart up on end to where this is actually horizontal instead of vertical. That's how I normally do it, but for the sake of this video and filming, I am gonna give myself an aneurysm because this is so simple the other way, so don't do it this way. Come on. Get in there. I only have so much recording time left. There we go. Thank you. See? Now that we got that, we're going to slip this large washer on. And we got room for one more small washer. Now this is probably going to be a very tight fit. If so, just go grind it down smaller. Don't be like me, because this is not going to go on easy for me. I already know this. I should just go grind it down right now, but I'm not. Don't get frustrated on camera now. Okay. Let's see. So I'm going to pull this wheel. This is way harder this way. Just do it horizontally. This is pretty nuts. So I'm going to actually see if I can flex this apart and make it work that way. When you get that last little bit in, you might even want to put some thread locker on that as well. And you're good to go, and there's your caster mod. Now, call me crazy, but that's a fantastic deal to spend so little on something that's rebuildable and awesome. So, if you have any questions about this, leave them in the comments. I do want to drop a mention. At the time of the shooting of this video on Walmart and Amazon, this version of Crazy Cart is for sale for $379 plus tax, which ends up being $406 and some change. So, hey, if you want a taxi garage alternative to a $260 thing, I think this is it. This is about as easy as it gets, in my opinion. Have a great day, guys. Bye.